Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to yet another Oracle forecast. And this is officially the first Oracle forecast of May. Can you believe it? We're already another month through. We are halfway through the second quarter of the year. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. Pardon me for starting off a little bit late today. It's because I literally just came back from the Greenbrier Resort in West Virginia, so that's why things was a little different. But we are back in home base right now. Feels good to be home. Feels good to be back. Feels good to be here. And so, let me pull out my tools real quick. There we go. But yeah, it's good to be home. Good to be here. And I'm just happy to be here today. Again, huge apologies for not notifying you guys a bit more in advance what was going on. Unfortunately, my phone fell underneath my dad's car seat. So for almost 3 hours, I literally couldn't message anybody, and we didn't stop long enough for me to like look underneath the seat and grab it. And it was like too far underneath for me to like just grab it anyway. So it was just bad situation all around. But um we're here. We're here, we're back, and overall we're just in a really good place. I had a great time this weekend. Hope you all have a good time too. And if you didn't, hopefully tonight's session will make things a little bit better at bare minimum. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to the forecast tonight because I know your time is precious, and so I want to go as quickly as possible. So, let's go ahead and get things started. I'm thinking first and foremost, let us, since it's a new month, get a little bit of a nice atmosphere going on. Oh, shout out to Gnostic Apothecary for making this spray. It's really nice. Uh, really nice smelling sage here. Anyway. I mean, it wasn't really like a complete like absence of a phone. Like it still worked. I could still like play tracks via the earphones and stuff, but I literally just could not I couldn't let you guys know like, "Hey, I'm going to be starting an hour later than usual." So, that was the thing I just couldn't do. So, hope y'all aren't too pissed off at me. But yeah, the trip was like almost 6 hours long. But it was so much fun though. So I went to a car show at Greenbrier, and then we did a couple stops on the way back. First, we needed to get ourselves some caffeine because we were a bit loopy because like we went like 3 a.m. on Friday morning just to get to the show at a reasonable time, like around 8 or 9 a.m., like the second day of the show. And then we're still kind of recovering from that today, because we were kind of starting getting loopy like midway through the trip, even though it was like it was well into the early afternoon we were coming back. And then we stopped by um I think it's pronounced Bucky's. I don't know if it's pronounced like the Winter Soldier or Gary Busey, but it's basically this shop. I think it's called Bucky's. But yeah, my dad nicknamed it the Texas Wawa, which that tracks because that place is packed. And they had so many different kinds of foods, from like jerky to nuts to like candy nuts to fudge. Like they had so many things. And okay, here's the funnier thing. So apparently, if you take a pic, if you take a picture with the Bucky's mascot, with Bucky the mascot, you get a free sticker. And I took a picture with them earlier in the afternoon. And apparently they give you something called a bravery sticker because there are people who are afraid of mascots. I actually had a classmate who was afraid of mascots. So it just never It was just the way the lady said it, it was just too funny to me. It was too funny. It was way too funny. Um, but yeah, it was a great trip. Took me about 5 hours. My booty is paying the price right now for sitting that long, but it was worth it. Honestly, it was worth it. So many nice people out there. Um shout out to everybody at Greenbrier. They were so nice. Shout out especially to Cheryl. She was our server during breakfast today, and she was so attentive to us the whole time. So shout out to Cheryl. At some point I'm gonna try doing the bunker tour, because I mean it's pretty cool. So a bit of a fun fact about Greenbrier. It is basically almost a one-to-one replica of the White House in terms of a structure. So if, let's say, something happened in DC, um, Greenbrier could basically act like a backup White House. And it even has a bunker, which, if you pay a little bit, you can actually tour it. Ryan Trahan has a pretty thorough video on the bunker if you wanna see it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, they have a car show every May. We went to last year's show, and my mom is so good at judging cars. Like, I think she should be an official judge, because pretty much every single car she picked out won an award last year. Like, she's really good at stuff like that, even though she doesn't really consider herself like a super high car enthusiast. But yeah, she was really good. And I feel like I also learned about myself a lot during that trip, even though it was only like 48 hours. And I feel like I certainly proved to myself that I can, even with the tech snafus that I had yesterday, which I think, if anything, also affirmed that not everything was my laptop. Some of it was also the Wi-Fi that I had in um in the site. But for the most part, my setup is pretty mobile, which I'm really proud to say. I think I might need to find like a smaller webcam that can just clip on to my laptop to like make things a little bit more high def. But outside of that, pretty much, yeah, pretty much I have a mobile setup, I'm happy to say. So there's not too much I have to change on my end when it comes to stuff like this. Okay. Ooh, got two here for Friday. Interesting. Anything else you want me to tell universe? No? Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get started with the Oracle forecast for the week. So, Monday, aka tomorrow. What do we got? May the fourth be with us. Got the High Priestess. So we're starting off massive here. So, gonna be doing a bit of a bridging between what our normal lives are and what our spiritual and our higher lives are. And it's going to be a bit of a balancing act when it comes to wisdom coming between these two worlds. How are you going to grapple with this? How do you embody the truth that you have to live and that is needed in this world? How do we share it? That is the first thing that this week that we're going to grapple with. And I don't know about you guys, but I've been feeling like ever since the wheel turned from Ostara to Beltana, there's been a lot of things that's been springing up in terms of opportunities and blessings and abundance. And there's just been a lot of shifting happening in terms of my mindset and in terms of how I've been looking at the world, especially when it comes to self. Which, granted, this full moon hit personally in my 12th house, which is it's more global rather than personal when it comes to that. Let me get specifically what that means. I'm gonna have to pull out some information here. And funnily enough, it's pulling out my phone's now pulling out the photos from last year's car show. But anyway, let me get up the thing about the 12th house. So the 12th house typically signifies service to humanity, which makes sense, self-transcendence, self-sacrifice, retreats from the world, unacknowledged or repressed parts of oneself, usually about the shadow. Old also meaning endings, healing, closure, spirituality, solitude, karma, old age, afterlife, what's hidden, limiting beliefs, and subconscious, which very much makes sense because I have been really paying attention more and more to this sense of so in Buddhism, this sense of self that has been evolving between Queen Herbie's video, which referenced in yesterday's stream, and what my dad has been doing a lot of Buddhist practices recently, in particular um uh Vajrayana Buddhism and Dzogchen. He's a very deep practitioner of those arts, and there's this one concept about um ana- anatta, which is the concept of no self. And at first, when you hear that, you think of it in terms of self annihilation. But actually, what no self is actually what no self is actually talking about is, or anicca, what it's talking about with no self, it's talking about it more so in terms of getting away from the limiting stories that you talk about yourself with. You're trying to remember that you do not have to box yourself in to one to one aspect or to one concept your whole life. I mean, you still got the basic stuff, maybe like your name and your birthday, etc. But even those can be changeable, actually, if you talk about it. Like maybe the fundamental fact might be true, but might still remain might still remain. But so many things can change about you. It's like the big thing you have to remember is that there is more flexibility to yourself than the society gives credit for. And so, bringing it back to the High Priestess, um, it's a call for you to bridge those changes and what can be the limitless aspects of self that you can express this week. What can be those limitless, like what's the flexibility that you can give yourself as you discover what it is that you want to do in the future. I mean, I was even talking about it with our Arvin Eleron, the channel we rated last night as well, that there's been more and more proof that there really isn't a timeline for when neuroplasticity ends. There might be a higher chance of it at certain ages, be it adolescence or by age 25, where it's a lot easier. But neuroplasticity actually never ends once you hit 25 or 30 years old. It keeps going. And oftentimes, the more successful people actually allow themselves to evolve beyond those arbitrary deadlines. And I always had this feeling that those ages felt arbitrary, that they were a farce. Like I felt like there was like this endless potential even after those certain ages. And the fact that science is starting to prove that more and more is really reassuring to me that we don't have to be fixed even in our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond. The only time it's too late is when you're 6 feet under and up in heaven, okay? So that's day 1. Where do you bring your limitless self? What are things that you can do to start touching into that? Yeah, especially those who have had a hard time in their 20s. You should consider this your break, okay? Like a bit of relief that, like, buddy, you still got time. You still got time. You still got time. So, getting to Tuesday, we got the Hanged Man. Case in point, shifting that perspective here. So, continue to shift your perspective and how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you approach things. It doesn't have to be the exact same way every time. So don't be afraid to change things up and experiment and play. If anything, play becomes especially important as you get older because that can be your biggest step towards personal evolution. So please remember to designate yourself some time to play when you can, because curiosity is where growth begins. You can still do the self improvement stuff, but at some point, you have to remember why you're living. Because I mean, as V from V for Vendetta says, at least in the movies, that a revolution without dancing is a revolution not worth having. So let yourself dance, let yourself play, let yourself try something different, or see the familiar in a new way. Let yourself do that this week. So Wednesday, we got the Nine of Pentacles. So this is going to be a time for rededication of efforts, rededication of skills. If there's been things that you've been putting by the wayside, be it a passion or a hobby or something that you really, really loved, put it back on your calendar. Take some time, put it back on your calendar. And it also prompts you to give yourself more credit where it's due. Give yourself more credit to the skills that you have learned up to this point. Yes, even the things that maybe society deemed useless. I think there's no such thing as a useless skill, because there are some things that it might sound ridiculous in the moment, but it actually can save you so much time. Like, prime example here. So yesterday, my dad and I ate at Applebee's for like a late lunch, and he wanted to use the touchpad to pay for his um to pay for the check. It's one of those like touchpad, like those touchpad terminals they always leave on the tables, and he couldn't get out of the gaming screen to like get back to the menu. And meanwhile, I was able to do it in like 2 seconds, and he was like, "How did you manage to figure that out?" And well, I thought to myself, well, it's because, well, if you X out of everything that's supposed to be there, it goes back to the very beginning. And it's kind of common sense because I mean, we use stuff like this all the time. We use phones all the time. We use tablets all the time. We game all the time. And there's always ways to go back to the menu, no matter how many ways to Sunday. So it's kind of it felt like common sense to me. But even though he's done about the same amount of, not as much gaming, but about the same amount of like tablet usage and phone usage as I do, that never crossed his mind to go back to the beginning like that. So if anything, Wednesday, not only should you honor the not like honor the skills and the hobbies that you have and bring them back to the forefront, but also honor the skills, especially the things that maybe you got scolded for or people find useless, that end up being time and lifesavers later on, because you never know. Because some things are like CPR, where it's good to know, but pray you don't have to use it. And then other times, well, it's like gaming or using a phone. Use it so much that people get pissed off that you're obsessed over it. But then when it comes down to it, it makes some things that look extraordinary seem like common sense. So honor both types of knowledge, because you just never know when you're going to apply it. And case in point, I'm living proof of that. Like, there's just so many things that I've learned over the years that maybe they seemed very useless, but then now they're actually becoming very valuable. And there's still a lot more things I could learn, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, Getting back to our week. Thursday. And oh yeah, I just remembered. Fourth, fifth. So Revenge of the Fifth is the Hangman, and then Return to the Sixth, Nine of Pentacles. Okay, Star Wars week. This is Star Wars week. So if you're down for a Star Wars marathon, Monday through Wednesday, that's your days. Okay, there you go. I recommend the machete order, and please put one back in your circulation because the costumes, chef's kiss. Padme's costumes especially, chef's kiss. Anyway, Thursday. Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups. That traditionally for me is like the happily ever after card. And it can be in terms of romance, it could be in terms of goal fulfillment, it could be in terms of just feeling bliss, feeling peace, feeling just this self-assuredness, wish granted, that kind of overall contentment energy. And so the question for that day is, what puts you there? What puts you there? And if you have no idea, that's okay. Maybe find a way to take a breath this Thursday. Find a way to take a breath this Thursday, whether it's something as simple as going outside and touching grass, or finding a scent that really makes you feel really good when you smell it. Oh, that's fruity. Well, not fruity, but like herbal. Just it smells nice, okay? It smells really nice. Like a nice smell. Doesn't even have to be that complicated. Or going and taking a nice shower. I'm definitely going to be doing this after doing that after this stream. Simple joys. Just start with simple joys that are accessible to you. And if you can go further, go further. But Thursday, 10 of Cups. Tap into those joys, those simple contentments. See where it takes you. And if you don't know where to begin, I just listed a few things you can try. And be fully in that moment. Be fully in that moment. Really feel that moment. And Friday, surprise, surprise, I got two cards for you this Friday. So let's go ahead and see what they are. So, card number one, you've got the Hierophant. So, the Hierophant. Usually, it's very papal in its energy. Though in this case, with the way that that's illustrated in this deck, it reminds me very much about the Ents from Lord of the Rings. Regardless, it's about ancient knowledge and tradition. And the first question of this first upcoming weekend, well, second upcoming weekend, because I mean, Friday the 1st to today. That's our first May weekend, funnily enough. But anyway, getting back to task here. The Hierophant. It's a question for you about, especially with this new self that you are establishing early on in the week with your new shaped perspectives, which bridging your desires with your reality and with seeing things in a new direction. And I'm doing good, brain leg. Thanks for asking. Anyway, getting back to Friday. The first question is asking, with this new evolution that you have established early on this week and the contentment that you have brought, and the contentment and the self-awareness you brought in the latter half of this week. At this point, what things in your old world do you keep? What aspects do you keep? And what aspects is it time to change the game, face the music, do something a little differently? What traditions could be useful at this point, and what traditions would be better off being put to bed? So that's part one for Friday. Part two, King of Cups, part two of this. So they're both modes of very high and strategic authority. So, part one, with the Hierophant, it's about how do you balance the knowledge you have and the traditions that you occupy with the new self that you have. Which things can you keep going with, and which things can you safely put to bed, be it temporarily or pretend to let go completely. And the other part with the King of Cups is what aspects, especially of your emotional and your intuitive and your wise self, what needs protecting? Who in your life needs protecting? What needs protecting? Because the reminder, especially with these two cards, is that you have the power to shape your destiny, whatever that is. There might be external circumstances beyond your control, be it finances, be it political situations, etc. But beyond those things, who do you want to see yourself as in this moment in time? And what things do you want to do to maintain that self or even evolve beyond it? Because we do contain multitudes. I know that's a lot. That's a lot for this week, but hope y'all are in for this ride. I certainly am. I'm honestly ready for a bit of a bit of a self evolution. But with that, that is our Oracle forecast for the week. And now the Tarot Doctor is in. So I see some people that are on the queue already, and I'm happy to say Brang Lag FPS, you are our first person of the night since you did come back from yesterday's stream. Thank you so much for returning. What is your question for tonight? Hopefully Louvet Savoir tunes in tonight because I did finally get the tools for um for what Louvet's asked from me, but I do need to specify some parameters from them once they show up because I am going a bit above and beyond with what they're asking for because it is a bit above and beyond my call of duty, especially since what they're asking me to do is very much in some ways above my pay grade. Even though ironically I'm not really being paid for this. There is a donation thing going on, but I'm not it's not like my full-time job or anything. So, there's that. But yeah, I've been I've been pretty well this week. This weekend. This weekend has been really, really good. But yeah, if anybody's familiar with this franchise over here, the one that's spelled BUC hyphen EE apostrophe S, is it pronounced like the Winter Soldier, Bucky, or is it pronounced like Gary Busey? Which is it? I thought it was the first pronunciation, but the GPS said the second one, so I was like, which is it? Granted, it is, well, my dad's GPS is set to the British English pronunciation, and it is AI, so it can only pronounce things so well. I mean, it mispronounces my name and even my relatives' names all the time. So there's that. It's kind of a miracle that I even get like my name pronounced correctly, like my screen name pronounced correctly because it's It's like tan rhymes with pon, not tan, like getting a tan at the beach. Not the same pronunciation. That's where people get thrown off. It's a TAN. Let me see. Are we at the bum, ba-dum, bum, bum? Okay, ad break. Ad church is coming up. So I'm gonna give myself a little bit of a break here. I need to get some water. Oh, hello, Brainlag FPS. Please go ahead and ask your question. We're about to get into an ad break, so which will give me a little bit of time to get some water. But go ahead and ask your question in the chat since you are the first person in line, and I will pull your cards for you. So in the meantime, please feel free to enjoy my campaign for those who are subscribers and on YouTube. So I'll be right back. So go ahead and ask your question, Brainlag. I'll be here. Okay, we are back. Thank you so much for your patience. We are back to it. Oh, man, my tailbone is going to pay for it later because I've been sitting for so long, but oh boy. Okay, so Brainlag FPS. First off, thank you for respecting my parameters when it comes to relationship ratings. With that said, please take whatever I pull with this with a grain of salt, because it could come out differently than what I pull. Because number one, you're getting new knowledge with me pulling for this, and number two, well, I don't really consider myself that kind of reader of like being super predictive and all that, even though I do pull for the week. Good or bad, I'm here. But whatever it turns out to be, I hope this is helpful to you. So here we go. Oh, yeah, I also really needed to drink some water because, I mean, I try not to drink too much when I'm on the road because then I'll be going to the bathroom like every hour if I don't. And especially if it's like a multi-hour trip. Yeah, that ain't gonna be fun. So I try to keep it minimal when I can. But that also leaves me very dehydrated as a result if I'm not careful, so. Oh, much better. Oh yeah, my body's very happy about that. I was like, oh my gosh, finally! Slurp? Oh. Okay, so I've got 4 cards for you. So let's see how we can view this relationship, how we can make things go copacetic. So, card number 1. Got the 9 of Swords. So, sensing a bit of anxiety going on right now. I can sense your worries and your concerns at this present moment. Let's see what else we got here. Got the Chariot, which is often a good sign towards victory, as well as, I mean, with the way that this card's designed, I often think about the Cancer archetype, which is very much about paying attention to your more, pay attention to more of your sensitive side, your emotional side. Give extra care to that, especially. And then we got the 8 of Pentacles, which is about dedication towards a craft or a passion or kind of work. And then Knight of Pentacles, which is very much like once you set your heart and your aim towards something you care about, you're going to take that massive leap of faith to make sure it succeeds. So the overarching picture I'm getting is I feel like things are looking good for the most part, but the big thing that I'm getting for this that you're gonna have to keep in mind as you go is, number 1, make sure you keep your thoughts and your worries and your inner turmoil in check. Because if you let this overwhelm you, that's where relationships start to fall apart a lot of the time. Is if it gets, like, if those worries and anxieties just get too overwhelming. So communication and self-care are going to be key here when it comes to dealing with that, to make sure things don't get too overwhelming. And you especially have to be cautious about when there's a tendency to feel like as if you're overburdening, like especially if you've been concerned about that, which I know. I'm like the PhD in that kind of thinking. Especially if you have a tendency to feel like as if you tend to overburden your partner. Odds are pretty good you might not be telling enough about what you're going through. So it's important to keep those concerns in check. So that's number one. Number two, things might actually be going better than you think they are in some ways. Even if it seems like things are kind of like the flames of disaster, you might be doing pretty well. Because, I mean, I got the Chariot, and usually the Chariot means, like, success, triumph over obstacles, victory, establishing an identity, or in this case, establishing what your connection as a couple, how that works out, and wherever you feel like you're wavering, know that you can, like, get back on track. And so it's especially important to pay attention to your sensitive side and your vulnerable side, because beneath that hard shell is a sensitive side, is a tender loving crab that needs a little extra TLC. Your mind in the flames of disaster are close friends. So, number two, know that you're doing much better than you think you are. No, you're doing much better than you think you are. And so with that, number three, if you are worried about how things are going, or if you feel like there are some things that you feel like you could do better as a partner, seek knowledge. Seek as much knowledge as you can to find ways how you can do your relationship and your craft, and how to understand yourself both within and beyond the relationship much better. Because this might be a bit of a hot take, but I often feel like how you see yourself in relation to your partner can really affect how you approach the relationship. Because if you see yourself as a half and the other person is completing you, I think that already is very shaky ground, because then it often feels like as if you have nothing much more to offer or acknowledge, especially if you're in a more financial or a confidence poor situation, where maybe your partner might be in a better situation in terms of that. But if you see yourself as a whole person with your lights and shadows, with your flaws and your triumphs, it's so much easier to see yourself as an equal when you navigate the relationship, and when you want to give your whole heart to somebody. So that's where that hanged man perspective comes in. That's one part. And part two is get to know your partner as they are, not just their potential. And know what goals you see for yourself too. And see, if possible, what ways your partner can fit into it. Because that's the other thing that sometimes gets missing, is that sometimes it feels like whenever we have a dream or something like that with especially if another person's involved, that they're supposed to just slot in and just hope it works. But there might be a special thing that significant other can do pretty well, and there might be a part that they can help out with, whether very small or very big. Like, I keep on thinking about Queen Herbie and Jedi Nyx's dynamic. I find their dynamic just so amazing, because they shine in their own ways. Jedi Nick is a producer, he's a songwriter, he also shoots videos. Um, Whenever he's not on the podcast with Queen Herbie. And Queen Herbie's just shining front and center as a singer, as a rapper. She also writes her own stuff too, but like they very much found their own domains. Jedi Nick with producing and Queen Herbie with singing. They shine in their own unique ways in music. And they started off as a pair, like as a group. Both of them like singing and playing. But then eventually they found their own realms where they feel like they could shine a lot more. And it's not one pushing themselves down to make the other one feel powerful, or one humbling the other person to shine. Like they have this equal shine, and that's just so impressive, because I feel like that's an example that you rarely see nowadays when it comes to healthy relationships. Because then again, a lot of healthy relationships don't really display themselves too much on the internet, and so it's one of the few that we actually get to see in real time. So that's the last thing I often recommend. Brand like FPS, if you can, find some people who may have a similar dynamic to you and your partner, and see how they have succeeded in keeping together. And then once you see their way, you don't have to go the exact same way that those successful couples have. You then find your own unique way that you and your partner find a way to link together and succeed. Because in some ways, it's like almost akin to like a business transaction, but then simultaneously, it's love. It's a relationship. You are gonna deal with your strengths and your weaknesses day to day. And so the biggest thing of all is, can you love yourself? Can you love this other person too, with all of that in mind? Even as they struggle to change, or maybe there's some parts that they might be having a harder time changing. Even in the midst of dramatic change, can you love them through that? So, long story short, I feel like things are gonna go well as long as you, again, keep the turmoil in check. And that goes both ways. And also really dedicate yourselves to getting to know yourself within and beyond the relationship. And most of all, paying attention to see what works between you. So, yeah, hope that answers your question, Brangling FBS. Thank you so much for tuning back in tonight. I'm glad I managed to catch you today, because I started so late, so I was worried that, like, oh man, I might miss all the usual suspects today. So I'm glad things kind of synced up. That's my almost, like, the ultimate thing is, I want this reading to affirm your instincts. So if you feel like I'm way off, it's okay to throw this reading in the trash, because sometimes I do have my off days. I haven't had too many so far, but, I mean, knock on wood, but... Oh, thank you! You as well. I'm glad you caught this. So... yeah, I mean, that's anything I do. Like, if you feel like it isn't vibe, feel free to throw it out the window, come back another day, or maybe just go with the gaming content instead. At least that's one thing that's guaranteed to be consistent. But anyway, yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad you caught this. So, Fern, aka Hallucinating Reality, you are up next. I think I'm starting to get good at this. Like, I managed to do this with under an hour, so props to me, because I can go for a while. I'm like Captain America. I can do this all day. Oh, but yeah, these last couple of days have been kind of nippy when it comes to temperatures. Okay. Well, newsflash, Fern. Hope is a dangerous thing to those for those who don't want it to, emerge. Because after all, rebellions are built on hope. Star Wars quote of the day. Credit to Jyn Erso from Rogue One. And maybe it's time you let some hope back in. But let's just see what's going on. It sounds like you might need a Rogue One in your life. Whew. And I think unless Luba Savoir happens to tune in before this ends. Yeah, of course. I usually start earlier than this, so don't worry if this is too late for you, but thank you so much for tuning in, Brain Lag. Hope you have a good night, good rest of your night, or a good morning, because I also had to wake up at 3 a.m. Yesterday, so I totally get that feeling. So, good night. Alright, so I got 3 cards for you, Fern. Brain Lag already went, so that was just earlier. Yeah. I forgot. Anyway, I got 3 cards for you. Alright. Woo-wee! Okay. We got the Queen and King of Wands, so both the Royals decided to come out today. And we got the 5 of Cups. Yeah, I think the reason why, your heart is opening up now, I think it's telling you that it's time for you to get in touch with something important within that hope. In this case, it's kind of like it's your Pandora's box, my friend. I think you need to see the hope underneath all the fear. You need to see the hope underneath all that fear. And yeah, 5 of Cups yeah, 5 of Cups especially, it's like when you get like so almost like narrow cast into regret and fear, wishing what could have been, the frustration, the anger, like getting so sucked in that, almost like a vortex, that it's so easy to forget that there is good things ahead, even in the thick of exhaustion and frustration. And yeah, this is very familiar because I've been in like 5 of Cups energy through April, where it was like, when is this frustration and when is this anxiety going to end? It's a very sucky feeling. But I think your heart is trying to open up to allow yourself to start dreaming again. Allow yourself to start trying again. Because you can only lock down for so long until eventually it feels like you're smothering yourself. And it's not, that's even less pleasant. And I think that's another reason why if anything, it's opening up, because I think it's time for your dreams to resurrect, if anything. I don't think they're truly dead. I think what it really was protection, to the point of it being counterintuitive. And yeah, absolutely, it can be a very scary place to be. And yet, ironically, that's where the most growth begins, is when you take that leap of faith. To quote that scene from Onward, where the main character is nervous about driving, where she's like, but I'm not ready. And then his older brother says, you'll never be ready. Merge. You gotta merge. You gotta merge. Onward's a really good movie. I ended up watching it twice. Actually, not twice, 3 times. Once in theaters and then twice at my work. It's surprisingly really really, really good. I highly recommend it. Yeah, that's a bit concerning, because it's like, yeah, Fern, I've been in that position before, believe it or not. I've been in that. And when you shelter yourself from pain like that, after a while, it's not living. After a while, it feels like you just rather have pain than feeling flat. And that's no better. That's honestly no better. And so, I think it's important to be really honest with yourself. And I tried to pull up one more card. I don't know if it's going to be helpful or not, but I got the 10 of Cups here, which I got earlier for our forecast this week, like towards the end, I think around Thursday. But yeah, 10 of Cups, usually, again, like I said, it's usually about emotional fulfillment and happily ever after, as well as emotional security and alignment and long-term peace. And I think if you find your dreams too hard to do right now, I think the next thing that is often much easier to attain is a sense of inner peace, whatever that looks like to you. And again, for right now, it doesn't have to be this complex, emotional, diving deep. Traveled the world, you played instruments, learned languages, been to 15 countries, been in love, feel like I'm not opening up anymore. But yeah, honestly, Fern, I don't see how closing up is that much better. I don't think closing up is that much better, because I mean, especially with being the ages we are, respectively, there's so much more. It looks like as if we've done a lot, but really, we've only scratched the surface. So, I say hang on. Hang on a bit longer, because, I mean, there is a Ten of Cups moment coming in your life, I feel like. And I think that's why your heart is opening up, because I think you need to prepare for your Ten of Cups moment. It is coming. Yes and no. Yeah, I don't feel like I was able to adequately answer your question, Fern, but what I'm feeling is don't give up. Like, I feel like you're really close to something very important, and I think your heart is opening up for a very important reason. And if you shut it down now, it's not a good idea. What I'm feeling. I mean, feel free to get a second opinion on this from another reader or something, but yeah, I feel like just don't force it. Don't force it closed. I think it's opening up right now for a very important reason, and I think it's something that you need to pay attention to. Because with the wands, with both court cards, with like the higher court cards, it's about the Queen is about confidence, being able to handle anything and anyone. King of Cups, it's about irresistible charm, inspiration, being born with a natural sense of authority. There are those traits underneath all that turmoil, underneath all of that frustration you may have been going through. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of a Pandora's box situation you're going through right now. And I think right now you need to look at it with a more compassionate gaze. Maybe with some curiosity too. And see what comes up. I swear that I don't mind if I don't get another Ten of Cups. But you got one tonight! You literally got one tonight! You literally got one tonight, though. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's because I've been sitting in a car for 6 hours and just the words are escaping me. But long story short, Fern, please don't give up. I think there's a lot coming for you. I think there's a lot coming for you, and I think you just need to give yourself just a bit more patience. That's all. I think you're almost there. Is what I'm seeing for you. So, hang in there. I think you got this. Of course. You are so welcome. Alright. So, let me see who else is on tonight. Yeah. I mean, there's even the famous Marianne Wilkerson quote about the scariest thing is not that we're not good enough, but the scariest thing is that we're powerful beyond measure. That's very true. That's very true, because I mean, To think that we have this immense strength and knowledge right underneath our fingertips, and to be able to take on so much responsibility into our own hands, that can get terrifying. That can absolutely get terrifying. But it's also very necessary to remember that we do have this power, because then with that power, we could take things so much further. Whatever that looks like. And good evening, Cal. Welcome to the stream. So I think, unless Lubis Savoir tunes in tonight, I think I might have enough energy for one more pull. Because I'm starting to feel myself lag a little bit. All right. New read going once. New reading going twice. Okay. I think with that, I think I'm going to... Oh, you just woke up. Don't need a reading, to be honest. I was just told to start manifesting. Okay. Awesome. Yes. Go for those manifestations, my friend. We're in a waning phase, but this is that's not a bad time to start considering what it is to manifest next in your life. But anyway, I should probably get some rest, because I have been in a car for 5.5 hours, and I think it's starting to catch up to me a little bit. So I think the quality might not be as good. So I think I'm going to end it here. So next time I'm on stream, whoops, a little bit. Thank you. Whoops, let me correct that. Okay. Can I get up there? There we go. Pardon me. I know, a little rude putting it on here, but anyway. So next time when I'm on stream, tomorrow we're gonna do Escape Simulator. Then Tuesday we're gonna do Stronghold HD. Still deciding Wednesday and Thursday what I'm gonna do then, but y'all will know. Y'all will know what I'm gonna do then. So I still need to choose what the charity of the season is gonna be. So sorry about that, but it's not the Foundation Women's Health. It's that was last season. So I need to choose what this season's gonna be. So hopefully I'll have something up by tomorrow, by earliest, latest by next weekend. Like I said several times, I have Operation Seinangakuin, the fundraiser for my shop. So if you want to purchase my wares, or if you want to donate towards the campaign, or just watch to help contribute to the total, you are welcome to do so. I will look at the poll for the next Discord listening party, which I have not looked at yet because I've been so busy and so tired, but I will look at it and I will update you on when that's going to happen. And in terms of real life, by the time I get back from study abroad, the next thing I'm going to do is go to the Isle of Queen tour in Philly, which happened on August 1st. Last I checked, there should still be some tickets for that. I still need to buy my tickets, so I'm hoping to get enough for that pretty soon. Finally, here's on the social media where you can find me outside of this channel. I've got Blue Sky, I've got Discord, I've got TikTok. This YouTube, DJ MK Off the Air, is where I simulcast. This second channel, Theological Otaku, is where I'm going to put my essays and my vlogs and stuff. So stuff is coming soon over there. I also have Substack, thirdnerd.substack.com. And like I said earlier, I have a coffee shop. Feel free to donate or shop my wares over there. If you want something more one-on-one or more in-depth, this is just scratching the surface. Please check out this shop if you want more in-depth stuff. Finally, this episode was filmed in the lands of the Nanticoke and Lenape peoples. To find more about whose indigenous lands you are occupying, as well as ways that you can help out the project, please check out native-land.ca for more information. So with that, I'm going to send y'all onto a raid to a second reader that I happened to find in my list. Luna Laney. I think she's been up for, I don't know if it's been like I think it's been 2 hours, like either 2 hours, 12 minutes, or I don't know how long she's been up there, but she's been up here for a little bit. So I'm going to send you guys over there. Anyway, hope y'all had an amazing weekend. Hope y'all having a blessed Beltana. And as always, may your heart be your guiding key. For those who are tuning in on YouTube, this is the end of the video. And for those who are tuning in live on Twitch, stand by for a raid. Till next time, I'll see you later. Bye!